Malott here with your syllabus overview. This is our home page here, and you can get to the syllabus in a number of ways from the home page. I have a link to the syllabus, but the easiest way to navigate to it is to go over to the sidebar on the left-hand side and click on the syllabus link. The syllabus is a really lengthy document, and much of it is what we call boilerplate language, required things that the university wants us to have there instead of putting it on a separate page or something like that. So it's a really long document to get through. And for that reason, I haven't linked it here. I will have links up here to download the PDF of the official syllabus if you should need that when you transfer someplace. So I will have that document linked at the top of the page here, as well as my basic syllabus document. The basic syllabus is just kind of hitting the highlights. So you have the contact information, the course overview, the learning outcomes, and a couple of other things. So let's try to go through this quickly. I don't want to spend a great deal of time. Of course, the important things here are my contact information thingies. So I can be emailed at malottvj@ucmail.uc.edu. I prefer that you use your UC email to have official communications with me. If you send something from a Gmail, sometimes it gets tagged as coming from outside of the system, and it might be thought of as suspicious. So it's always best to send your official emails to your instructors from your official UC email address. I also have a Google phone number. It's a 513-278-7886. I prefer that you text me rather than call me on the phone. As I said in another video, I don't like talking on the phone all that much. Not that I'm backwards or anything like that, but I'm just kind of weird about the phone. I would much rather see your face or just see your words. So if you have a quick question, you can text me. Just make sure that you provide your name and which class you are in. I am teaching more than one class. So it's always a good idea to say, hey, this is so-and-so from your English comp class, your online English comp class. I just have a quick question, what have you. And depending on when you send the text and what I'm doing at the time, I may get back to you right away. I usually am pretty good about that with text and emails. But you know, sometimes especially as things gear up in the spring, I have a sophomore in high school who is involved in baseball. So as his season gets started, my life will get a little bit more hectic. And I might not be able to respond immediately, right? Also, if you have a question in the middle of the night and you want to send an email to me, that is fine. You're not going to wake me up. I have my phone, you know, I don't get notifications between 11 and 7, but once I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I will be able to read your email and I will respond appropriately. So yeah, the contact information is important. I recommend that you put my phone number, this phone number, into your phone and add me, have my email address added so that you know how to contact me should you need to contact me quickly. So we will talk about the course overview. English Comp 1001 is a writing centered course. It's a writing intensive course. It is a time intensive course. So if you are taking this course, this online section, thinking it'll be easier, it's not. In many ways, it is much harder because you are not expected to be in any one place at any one time. And I provide you with a wealth of materials and instructions, but there's not a whole lot of hand-holding. So if you think you are taking the easy way out, you may want to think again. This is a time-intensive course. We emphasize careful reading, analytical thinking, and persuasive strategies in research and academic writing. You will learn that rhetorical knowledge is the basis of composing while learning to write with purpose, audience, context, and conventions in mind. You can read through the rest of that. So the purpose for this course, I've actually decided to take a thematic approach to English 1001 this semester, and we will be dealing with what we call the pursuit of happiness. It seems obvious, right, that we all want to be happy, but what really is happiness? How do we achieve it? So we'll be dealing with a bunch of questions and reading from a variety of texts: scripture, philosophy, research articles, journalism, personal essays, some poetry, and other things. We may also explore images like paintings and photographs. We'll take a look at a film and some other visual media. And you'll practice critical thinking and synthesis by reading, writing, and speaking. So we're centering around the topic or the idea, the concept of happiness. And we'll look at it philosophically and think about psychological aspects, as well as how we ourselves can become happier. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with writing? Well, I just thought it would be an interesting way to practice our writing skills by focusing on the pursuit of happiness, right? So additionally, English 1001 contributes to your developing competency in effective communication, critical thinking, and information literacy, which are three of the Gen Ed competencies for all of the baccalaureate programs at UC. And let's talk about the learning outcomes. English 1001 students will be able to analyze rhetorical situations by examining audience, purpose, and context, compose multiple genres for a variety of audiences and purposes, using sources as a foundation for writing in most projects, and adopting appropriate composing processes and conventions. Well, what the heck does that mean? It just means that you'll write a bunch of different types of pieces, right? Different genres for different types of audiences and for different reasons. Some of them you will be using sources, right, as your foundation for writing in most of your projects. And you will adopt appropriate composing processes. That is, you will do things like drafting and pre-writing and brainstorming, that kind of thing, right? And you'll revise. And conventions is simply this lovely word that means you'll use good English, right? You will use proper grammar, accepted conventional grammar, right? You will use punctuation correctly, you will spell correctly, edit correctly, proofread, all of that stuff, all of those things that are involved in the writing process. So that's what that means, that learning outcome. Third one here, use inquiry-based research practices. What does that mean? Inquiry-based, it means asking questions, right? So formulating research questions to identify potential gaps, conflicts, or new ideas in an existing conversation about a topic. So in first year writing, we talk a lot about the conversation, the academic conversation. And hopefully you'll hear about this more in other classes that you take. If you think about college life and the academic discourse community, which is what we're all a part of now, we are taking part in conversations about different topics, right? And we are building new knowledge in that conversation. If you think about the things that you read and the things that you write, it's kind of this give and take in the conversation. And you can sometimes add to the conversation, which is a very exciting thing about being a student and being an academic, that you're able to contribute new ideas or your own unique perspective on a given topic. So we'll be talking more about this academic conversation throughout the semester. Locate, evaluate, and synthesize source material appropriate to research inquiry that reflects a range of perspectives. So you're going to know how to research by the end of this class. Yay! And articulate what you know about reading, research, and writing processes. and how you can apply that knowledge in various contexts. So throughout the semester, you'll have multiple opportunities to reflect and respond on your own writing and about your reading and research and how you've developed. And at the end of the semester, you will have a reflective project, a reflection project, which talks about all of these learning outcomes that you have hopefully fulfilled, right? If you've done the work, then you will have fulfilled all of those learning outcomes to some level. Format, we are online asynchronous. We don't meet face-to-face or virtually. This means you need to have access to reliable internet and a computer to complete assignments for this class. It really is not acceptable to try to do all of your assignments over your phone. I realize that can be problematic, but you have signed up for an online class, and that assumes that you have the technology at your disposal in order to complete your assignments. So if for some reason your computer dies, right, or you suddenly don't have access to a computer anymore, there are alternatives, and we'll talk a little bit about that further on down. So, it's expected that you will have a computer to do the work for this class. It's necessary for online classes. Prerequisites, co-requisites, English comp, breadth of knowledge, and the competencies. You can look at all of that stuff yourself. I'm not going to read through it. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of materials and technology. There is no required text to purchase. Rejoice, you are not spending $180 on some useless textbook. It has been my goal over the past year and a half to transition to open access resources or open educational resources and not require students to purchase textbooks, because let's face it, textbooks are freaking expensive, right? However, if you are the sort of person who would like to have a physical text, I will show you the cover of this text. This book is called Pursuing Happiness, and it is by Matthew Parfit and Don Skorzewski. And it's just it's kind of an anthology of various readings. It's a good book, but again, if you are strapped for resources, I do not want to require you to purchase it. So what have I done to remedy that situation? Well, I have I've taken the time to locate most of the articles that they have in this anthology, and I have provided either PDFs or URLs to the online versions of those articles. I have not gotten every single article in the book, and of course, we're not going to read every single article that is contained in the book anyway, whether we had the book or not. But if you are a person that would like to get your hands on a book, this is the book you can look for. It's the second edition, and here is the ISBN number. I do not have it listed as a text, recommended or otherwise, in the college bookstore. We've had some issues with the bookstore, so if you want to purchase it, you'd have to go to Amazon and try to find probably a used copy, making sure that it's the second edition. There is a big change in which articles are in that they have in the first edition and second editions. They made some big changes when they came out with the second edition. But you do not have to purchase a book. I will make sure that you have everything that you need. Back to required technology, you need to have a computer for this class. It is just so much easier to get things done if you have a computer with reliable internet access. You can work from a mobile device such as a tablet or a phone in a pinch. Canvas has some fantastic apps for students. Canvas for Students, it's available in Android and Apple versions, and they are completely free. I recommend that you download those to your devices. That way, if you are traveling or you have things that you need to do, you can keep up to date. And it's easy to do some of the lower stakes assignments, like a discussion board or a journal where you can do a text submission. Those are easy to do from your phone, but writing a paper really is difficult. I had a student in my face-to-face class who did all of his writing from his phone. I don't know how he managed to do it, but he got it done, even though I told him that there are computers that you can get on loan, a long-term laptop loan through the campus where you're enrolled. So we have those resources available to you if for some reason your computer that you were using no longer exists, right? Things happen. In the final semester, well, no, it was in my first semester, towards the end of that semester, right before finals in graduate school, my laptop died. It completely fried. Yeah, and I had a paper due. So I understand the tech problems. Required technical skills. I'm not going to speak all about those. You can read those. Let's look at assessments and activities. So you're going to do 3 projects. These will be graded as projects. They'll be looked at as projects, and all related work, peer review, etc., will be a part of the grade. Your essays and research project will be graded on organization, ideas, originality, good thesis statements. I should say assessed, not graded, but effective argument techniques, all of that good stuff, right? So you can read through that. You're required to submit all 3 formal projects. That is, it'll be a rhetorical analysis, a research project, and a reflection in order to pass the class or be eligible for the grade of NP. NP is not proficient, and that means if anybody below a 70%, below a C minus, will just have to take the course again. Failure to submit all of the formal assignments will result in a grade of UW, which is an unofficial withdrawal, or an F. Informal writings, you'll complete a variety of discussion board posts, shorter, more informal writing exercises. And participation, of course, that just means logging in, taking part in the discussions that you need to do, engaging with the material, making sure that you are a part of things. The course schedule will likely stay the way that it is, but I do reserve the right to update this syllabus as the class needs arise. The course will be split into 2 7-week units focusing on rhetoric and research. So the first half of the semester will be dealing with rhetoric, and you will have a rhetorical analysis project. You'll select a text from one of the 5 topical areas and create a project. And this will make more sense as we go throughout the weeks, but we have 5 key questions. What is happiness? What makes people happy? Can we create our own happiness? Do we deserve happiness? And does technology make us happier? There'll be some flexibility on how to approach the analysis, including your choice of text and your mode of presentation. Typically, students will write a traditional essay, but you could also do an in-class presentation or a short multimedia presentation, like an ad or a social media campaign or poster, pamphlet, or brochure. But the goal is to start thinking about audience, purpose, and context, while also providing you the skills which can be applied in various contexts. So there we're meeting the learning objectives 1 and 5. With this project, you'll have an accompanying written rationale. So if you do a paper, you probably won't need the rationale. That is something we can discuss later. But if you do an in-class presentation or some other kind of multimedia presentation, you will absolutely need to have that written rationale. That will be about 1 to 2 pages. And you can read more about that. The second half of the semester will be devoted to the research project. And there will be several assignments that you have to do. So again, the idea here is that you will have a research topic or a proposal with questions from the text. You'll choose which question you want to deal with, and then kind of riff off of that and create your own research question. But so we'll have those 5 main questions again. You'll do a source evaluation of 2 sources, an annotated bibliography of 8 sources. You'll have an introduction, thesis, and outline, and we might actually be using some AI tools in that assignment. I still am fleshing that whole assignment out. And then we will do a counter argument exercise, and the culminating project will be what's called an in-class presentation. It will just be a presentation that is available for the whole class to be able to see. So the last week of classes will allow students up to 10 minutes for their presentations. I also wrote this for my in-person class, hence the 10-minute designation. The mode of presentation is once again chosen by the students and will primarily follow the rationale for the rhetorical analysis project, but it will be presented in person. In the rationale, students explore the project's purpose, the form, so on and so forth. The last thing you will have to do is a reflection project that will be your quote unquote final for the course, and finals week will be the time to complete that final course reflection. It's not a course evaluation, but it's a reflection, and I'll give more details during the semester. You'll be asked to address all 5 learning objectives and self-assess how well you met those objectives as outlined in the syllabus. We have a list of multimodal options for your class projects, so you can take a look there. We'll talk more about that as the semester progresses. Excuse me. We have a rough course. Well, it's less rough, slightly bumpy. Course schedule for the assignments. There is no final exam. As I told you before, the final submission deadline for your assignments is the last day of the semester, which is Thursday, April 25th. I will then activate a link for the course schedule here. I do have that. I don't know why I didn't link it here, but you know, as I said, I'm still looking at smoothing things out here, but you have a general idea. We have the week, the dates, the topic, and the assignments and when they are due. Again, assignments are due on Sundays. I don't think I have any midweek requirements for you, but if you do, you'll see that on the Canvas weekly module page. Oh, there's the course schedule. I just need to edit and revise. Shame on me. So the grading criteria, one thing that you need to understand that for UC students who are in first year writing classes, the grades are A, B, C, including plus and minus, or NP, F, W, or UW. So you have to pass the class in order to progress to taking intermediate composition, which is English 2089. You have to pass with a C minus, and that is a 70% or above. If you for some reason have less than a C minus, it means that you will receive an NP grade if you have submitted all your work. You will receive an NP grade, which just means that you have to take the course over again, and there's more information on that underneath this. So as you see here, we will have a weighted grading percentages. It just means that the formal assignments are things that I pay more attention to and put more, stress more importance than the informal assignments. The formal assignments comprise 80% of your grade, and you'll see the breakdown there. So the rhetorical analysis, 15%, and then you have a research project proposal and annotated bibliography, which is a considerable amount of work. So that is 20%. Then you have your research project, 25%, as well as the class presentation, which is 10%. The final course reflection will be 10% as well. For the informal assignments, that just includes everything else, all of those low stakes assignments, discussion boards, journals, reading questions, annotations, that kind of stuff. Any workshops or conferences that you might need to do, that's 20%, the remaining 20% of your grade. So let's take a look here at the grading policy. I do have a separate video that explains contract grading in greater depth. Essentially, you're guaranteed to be in the course if you fulfill all of the following things, right? So it means logging into Canvas regularly, submitting work on time. If you miss work, that's a mark against the grading contract. The short assignments, you agree to complete all of the short assignments. You'll agree to partake in all of the peer work, peer feedback, that kind of stuff. Longer assignments, you agree to sustain effort and investment in each draft of all your papers and submit complete, on time, and proofread edited to the best of your ability. You will agree to make substantive revisions when the assignment is to revise. So that means not just editing or touching up unless otherwise directed by me. Sometimes I have students who write nearly flawless drafts. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to easily read through something that is coherent with very few mistakes. But in general, most students do need to revise their thinking or their organization of thoughts. So in those cases, if you happen to be one of those students who writes a almost flawless draft, I will let you know whether or not you need to revise. It might simply mean fixing a few editing mistakes and you're done, right? But I will let you know in my feedback whether or not you do not need to revise, but let's go by the assumption that most students will need to revise. Proofreading and editing. Again, I'm not your copy editor, as I said in the other video. It's expected that you should know how to proofread and edit. And then if you need help, you will do that. So the idea here is that if you show up and you do the work, you are guaranteed a B. If you put in a really tremendous effort and you really take off as a student and what you write is fantastic, you will get higher than a B. If you skip out on a few things, hey, I get it. You know, sometimes English is not the be all and end all of your lives. Then you might receive less than a B. And as long as you get by with a C minus and you can move on to the next phase, get the other thing done. You know, some of you are just jumping through hoops, getting this requirement done. So by staying in the course and attending class, you agree to all of the above terms. There is an English grading rubric here. You can read through that, as well as the grading scale, and see where the cutoffs are. Again, we're not really concerned with points, so this is kind of irrelevant. And then more information about that NP grade. If you ghost for some reason or you don't complete work, you will receive a grade of UW. That affects your GPA the same way an F would, and it could affect your financial aid or scholarships. So don't blow things off, right? If you can withdraw from the class, that's probably the best course for you. I know sometimes withdrawing means that you might drop from full-time status to part-time status, and that could affect financial aid. So, you know, it's something that you need to decide with your academic advisor. Classroom procedures and policies. Most of this you can read to yourself. Check your UC email account once a day. I check email frequently. I get it on my phone, so I am accessible Mondays through Thursdays, actually Mondays through Fridays. I'm accessible and usually will reply within 24 hours, usually within the hour, depending on when it's sent. Weekends are a little bit, you know, I may or may not answer your email. I may wait until Monday, but usually I respond pretty promptly. And if it's something that's more urgent, you can text me, right? Technology, we addressed that above. Attendance policy, that's addressed in the contract, notice of non-discrimination, inclusion statement. I encourage you to go by the name that you would prefer to be referenced, as well as any pronouns that you may choose to use. If you're comfortable disclosing that stuff to me and your classmates, that's fantastic. If you're not comfortable with that, hey, I get it. But I want you to feel comfortable. And if you want to use a different name and different pronouns, I'm cool with that. Accessibility policy, again, it is the policy of the university that if you need accommodations, that you need to have formal documentation that needs to be processed through the accessibility resources department. But I know that formal documentation can be a lengthy process, especially if you didn't have accommodations in high school or an IEP. So let me know if you suspect that you have some kind of a learning challenge or any other kind of challenge that could be a barrier to your success. I'm happy to work with you. I don't need official documentation because we don't do anything that's timed per se. But if you do need the occasional extension, have that discussion with me, and I'm happy to work with you. Likewise, if you have any kind of needs for accessibility, whether it's you're visually impaired or you have a hearing impairment, please let me know. I try very well to make accessible content, but I realize that not all of my materials are accessible or up to the level that they should be. That's something that I am slowly remedying as I learn how to make my resources accessible for all. Okay, academic integrity. This is especially important with AI-generated writing. All work submitted for the course should be your own and not the work of others, human or machine, just as you wouldn't ask another person to take an exam for you or to write your whole paper, hopefully, right? So you should not have an AI writing system such as ChatGPT and others like that write your assignments for you. It can be a helpful tool during the invention phase of writing. I just noticed an editing mistake there, where you're gathering ideas or provide examples for how to organize your essays. And we may, as I said before, we may work with some AI things as an exercise, but not as an assignment. All of the drafts for formal essays are run through Turnitin, and you can see your similarity score visible immediately. I don't solely rely on Turnitin's AI detection because it is flawed, but there are aspects of AI writing that will usually make me investigate further. I've seen it enough that it's usually a reason for a conversation with a student. I'm not going to fail you right off the bat. We will have a discussion and say, figure out what we can do. If I suspect you're borrowing from AI writing, we'll talk about it, especially the implications of violating the UC academic integrity policy. Borrowing the words, ideas, etc. of another without proper attribution, that is citation and documentation, is a form of plagiarism regardless of your intent. And here at the bottom, there's that list of student resources, as well as any important dates and deadlines. The date to pay attention here, if you are not sure you're in the right class, right, is January 22nd for the full semester is the last day to drop a class. If you decide you don't need to take this class or you don't want to take this class, January 22nd is the last day. The 22nd is a Monday. So that's 2 weeks into the semester. The last day to withdraw, if you realize that you are sinking beneath the water, you can no longer keep yourself afloat. You may decide that you need to withdraw from the class rather than getting a UW or an F. Again, I don't take these things personally. I know that we all make these decisions for a reason. The date for that is April 5th, and April 5th is a Friday. So keep those aware. And spring break is during week 10, which is March 11th through March 17th. We won't have any work due that week. So the syllabus has been completed. My spiel about it anyway. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Too many videos recorded in a day. So I think I showed these to you the last time, but let me just open the basic course syllabus to show you. It's a little bit different. It has a link to my UC email, as well as my phone information and a link to my YouTube channel. It goes over the course overview, the recommended text, the one you are not required to purchase. I really don't require you to purchase it. I don't encourage you to purchase it unless you absolutely are the kind of person who has to have a book in their hands, right? It's not, in my opinion, worth spending $35 or $40 for a used text. And it's a slim volume. But if you find it for, $10 or $15, you might want to get it. I don't know. It's really up to you, but I am not requiring you to purchase it. Again, it has the learning outcomes, how much time you need to work on this class, the spiel, a little blurb about the grading contract and the grades in this class, the grading criteria and the grading scale. There is a separate document for the grading contract that you will be required to sign and submit. Learn more about that in the week 1 overview video. For now, I will say goodbye and take care.